Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Coin Show, and I wanted to show you something kind of cool today. This is something that I really didn't know a ton of until I started doing some research. This is a $10 Federal Reserve banknote, and they look a lot like national currency notes, but the biggest difference between it and the national currency notes is that these were issued by Federal Reserve banks during 1933. There was a lot of hoarding of money due to the bank failures during the Great Depression, and because of that, people were holding on to their cash. We needed a certain amount of cash in circulation in order to keep things solvent, to keep our economy moving. So the Federal Reserve banks issued this national currency. What it does is it kind of limited the ability of the smaller banks to issue their own currency because they now were supplied with this by the Fed. And it kind of helped our transition to the Federal Reserve Bank only notes that we know today. But with these, they were issued privately by the banks, and specifically with these, that's interesting is instead of them being backed by the entirety of the Federal Reserve System, these were backed specifically by the Federal Reserve Bank of whatever Federal Reserve District they are. In this case, I have a Chicago note. Now, Chicago notes are one of the most common of these notes. If you note, this one's in really, note, I didn't mean the pun. But if you look at this note, you'll notice a couple of things about it. One is that the signature here says governor. They had blanked out the line that says president, and they did this because Federal Reserve banks didn't have presidents, they had governors, but they used the exact same plates as they used for the national currency issues of earlier in the decade. They have brown serial numbers, and they have brown seals, are redeemable in lawful money, but are backed by United States bonds or like deposit or other securities. And that is the other difference in the note between it and the other national currency notes. Now, national currency notes were issued by individual banks, and it was very common for them to do that. It was a super common practice up until the Great Depression, and we really see more of a central bank after that point. So this is just a really cool note. Honestly, it has the same plates as the typical $10 bill. This, I believe, is also different for the Federal Reserve Bank notes. The national currency notes have, I believe, a different back plate that they used. But this is the common 10 that was used all the way through the 1950s. This note, I would probably grade it extremely fine. It's got a really good crease right down here in the middle. Other than that, it's very naturally colored. It is typical of the type of note that we're used to seeing. These are not tremendously rare, so this is not a big buck item. They typically are going to sell between $20 and $50 in really nice condition. And it was just something I thought was really cool and that you guys would enjoy. So I wanted to bring it and I wanted to show it to you. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this video on the $10 bill.